time for us to go over arbitrations. These missions are pretty tough. They are endless missions, and a lot of people generally want to get at least one full round in there, so put aside 20 minutes for this. This is mainly because arbitration missions have some exceptionally valuable gear that we can grab. To unlock arbitrations, you're going to need to come over to your star chart and make sure that you have completed every node that is connected to the star chart or to a planet. What this means is, let's say for example, Armana here, this can draw a link all the way to Earth, unlike Mutualist Alid V. This one apparently does not count. You should have done it. If you haven't done all of the system already, and this includes having the Zariman unlocked over on the left hand side there, I have a full step-by-step walkthrough to get to this point. I'll link the playlist down in the pinned comment. That being true, what you're going to find is when you come up to your events up here is we now have the ability to go on an arbitration. Now these are always, as I said before, endless missions, and you can see you kind of get tempted into bringing different warframes. I mean, Ash is pretty good, but you're going to get offered a warframe here that you can take in with enhanced stats, which is pretty cool. There are some other mechanics that we need to bear in mind as we're going around though. You can see here, this is quite a high level. Enemies here are actually minorly enhanced over the actual level you're going to see. We're going to be getting Vitus essence in here. I'll show you how to spend that in a minute. And as you can see, there is a 1 hour countdown. You only get to have one attempt at each arbitration, so therefore you can only do one of these missions per hour. Bring in a sensible warframe and a good loadout. Revives are also not as simple as you'll see as we're going around. With that being true, if this is like Protea, bring Protea. But other than that, bring in a survivable high damage warframe. I'm bringing in Meso. I'll give you guys some recommendations once we've been through a mission. Arbitration missions are going to look very similar to their standard counterparts, especially in the case of survival and interception missions. Defense is a little bit different, but we'll talk about that last. But the most common difference between everything is the addition of the arbitration shield drones. These are like strange little floating objects with a red glow and cannot be destroyed by your warframe powers. You will have to manually destroy them with your weapons. These project a protective layer over enemies that are around them, and those enemies are invulnerable until you take out these shield drones. They also have a chance to drop vital essence, which is going to be a currency that we'll be using from now on. And if a player is down, you will also need to destroy these to collect tokens. You'll know if you're carrying any because it'll be displayed in red in the top right hand side of the corner of the screen, and you'll need 5 of these tokens to revive a fallen player. Note that you do not enter the bleed out mode. If you lose all of your health, you go straight down and somebody has to collect 5 of these tokens. It's worth noting that you're going to get a debuff for carrying them, much in the same way as the index, so do be careful about it. You are going to be taking increased damage whilst you are carrying these tokens if you do need to go and revive somebody. Defense missions have one of the largest parches, so it's going to get its own section. In this game mode, during an arbitration mission in Warframe, the defense subject will have changed from a cryotube into a moving Arbiter of Hexis member. This person can be healed, so Warframes like Oberon, Trinity, and Wisps can be useful in helping with keeping it alive. In this game mode, you are going to see a lot of Wisp arriving, so just bear that in mind that you're going to need to keep that NPC off the ground to be able to succeed in the mission. Lastly, if you do happen to fail a round, let's say you want to go like 50 rounds and you get to round 49, everybody dies, you go down and you fail the mission, you will actually keep the main rewards and still get your Endo, Iatan, and all of the other things that have dropped from the end of the mission. You will, however, lose everything that you picked up during the mission, so just bear that in mind. Okay then, Joe, so I've ran a few of these missions and I don't know what to do with these Vitus essences. I hear you shouting down the microphone at me. Well, what we need to do is go to any relay where the syndicates resides. I'm going to use Pluto. Don't know why. It's just where I always like to go. And you want to head on over to the Arbiters of Hexis, as you might imagine. You see that's the bottom right corner of the map as you are heading in. And talk to this guy here on the left. And this is where you're going to see the rewards that you can get with all of your Vitus essence that we've now collected. And there are some significantly powerful mods in here. Don't be fooled. Some of them look like they're not that powerful straight away. Like Galvanized Savvy, that's a 10 rank mod that says it only gives you 80% status chance as opposed to the normal Savvy, which gives you 90%. However, 40% direct damage per status type effect on the target is massive. That's direct damage. I don't think you can get it from anywhere else. And it means that enemies cannot resist the additional damage that is going. That's huge. huge, and that can stack twice. So that's 80% per status. So if you're inflicting something really heavy status-wise, like with the Ignis, for example, that's basically 160% extra. That was huge, massive. There are a lot of mods here like this. These actually go for platinum because too many people are very lazy and they do not unlock all of the nodes. So a lot of these will go for like 10 to 15 platinum. So just bear that in mind. And looking further up, you're also going to find extra stuff up here as well. In particular, power donation is very good for Nova if you want to do a speed build, and plenty of other stuff up here as well. You guys can go ahead and check that all out. So being as I said I would, I'll leave you guys with a few Warframe suggestions. Ignis Wraith has been my favorite weapon so far. I tried a few others like the Trumner and the Corin and like quite a lot of other stuff. None of it was particularly amazing. Bubonico is strong, but I haven't shown anyone how to get that yet. Warframe wise though, Wisp is a very good, particularly in static missions such as excavation and defense. Do not underestimate Zephyr. Very fun Warframe, especially if you put aviation on there. Give her some damage reduction and get the tornadoes going. You can spread damage really, really good with Zephyr. I personally love Protea. She's probably not necessarily ideal, but she is basically a goddess of damage and support. Revenant is always extremely strong, so definitely worth your consideration, although I haven't covered that in the series yet. Octavia is fantastic because her damage scales. For those that don't know that much about Octavia's powers, the thing that makes her magic is the mallet and the resonator, because basically you're reflecting damage back at the enemies. So the more damage they do, the more damage she does. Now, this does kind of slow down a bit as time goes on, because obviously enemies will gain in armor, so the damage does kind of go a little bit down. But if you bring something like corrosive projection and obviously bring armor stripping with you, you can get around that. I really like Nova, but don't bring this to a defense. Some people will complain if you start slowing enemies down, even though I don't think it's all that bad in the defense that you're going to be doing with Arbitration, because generally speaking, you're going to be hunting the enemies down anyway. Necros is a good choice. We've got Terrify on there to be reducing armor, and in addition to that, we're also going to be able to desecrate the shield drones so that we can get even more of the Vitus essence. So Necros is pretty much always welcome in the pie. And I feel like that's enough suggestions. Basically, any Warframe that you think will be good in a survival mission is going to be pretty much ideal.